Oh,
We all know.
okay, we on. Thank you for joining us again. As you can see, we're getting it together. We've been off for a little while, y'all, and trying to get back in the groove of things. We are waiting for my co-host Elijah to get here. He's in traffic. Drive safely, brother. He took the vaccine shot today. Have you been vaccinated? Something you still thinking about? The jury's out on it. Have a very beautiful guest with us tonight, you all. Miss Tanya Taylor, welcome to the J.Gerrard Show. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want? How have you been? How have your week been?
I've been great. I've been on this detox
Okay.
and physically
Tell
with
me
my
about
body.
it.
I've been on fasting on my
Okay.
4th day with no food.
Okay.
And for this would be my 7th day of
Okay.
actually isolation.
Okay.
I needed it to get back to center myself, to put it that way, spiritually, so I can be able to think clearly, because there was a lot going on, and that was the only way I could, basically purge myself from all
hit a
the
full
energies.
reset.
Yes, a whole full reset.
So what about people like me that just came off vacation? Detox sound right, but you sound like you was going for the other level of the detox.
A
I probably
whole
just
nother
need to
level. Detox on
get some of them
everything.
chicken wings and some of all that beef that I had, while I was out.
You need a herbal tea.
Right, something to get something moving, and it's so funny. That's interesting though. That I mean, you really talking to you about, and she's going to talk a little bit more about herself. And I'm glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you.
To introduce you to the audience. Interesting fact, like I'm just sitting here listening to you real quick, and it's like, yeah, the same way your body needs to reset and to reboot, it's the same thing spiritually.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Very interesting fact, y'all. This very beautiful person here. Can't wait. We're gonna have a lot of different conversations about spirituality, a lot of different things. But tonight we're talking about domestic violence. I want to get into a couple of things before we actually get into the subject. Give Elijah a little bit more time to get in. I want to thank everybody that came out. We have with the nonprofit Community Corps, we will be doing again this month Kids Club, where we are introducing the kids to early literacy. We last month we did artwork, and they came out and did paintwork. This month we're going to be at a local dance studio, so we're encouraging all the parents to come out. What we try to encourage is family involvement. So this is going to be an event where the mom and the dad can come. We're just going to take them out to the local dance studio and have just a dance off with the kids, teaching them different skills. Like I said, literacy skills, social skills, providing some structure, which is just happen to be a lot of the things that are lacking for a lot of the kids in our communities. These are the things we're trying to do at Community Corps to kind of put our arms around the community. I know we've all went through this COVID thing, and there's a lot of things the kids are in this part-time school. It's been a very emotional time for us all. So we try to, refocus the emphasis on the kids, because sometimes it's those small voices that's went unheard. And I'm sure a lot of these changes can be stressful for kids. And Community Corps, like I said again, our focus there is family and community. So, we work in the community to try to strengthen those bonds. So we do have that event that's going to be coming up on the 27th. Let me give you a proper date, y'all. Give me just a second. Thing about being live is you're live, and at the same time, I know I'm old, so y'all give me just a second. I'm going to hit y'all with all the correct information. Here we go. It's going to be April 23rd, okay, at 6 p.m. It's going to be at 4400 Baker Grove Road. This is in Ackworth, at Rockwell Dance Academy. So if you're in the area and you want to hear more about it, you can get more information about this at communitycorpsinc.com. So I want to thank you in advance for your participation. Even if you're not able to, you can go to the website, you can donate to the event, sponsor someone else that, want to come and participate. All of the funds, not some of the funds, not 90% of the funds, all of the funds go into the functions that we provide for the community, all of the funds. So again, I want to thank you in advance for that. I do too. Tanya, excuse me for just working so hard.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Feel like I'm working. But we haven't been here in 2 weeks, and we changing the format. I want to tell everybody we have a change of format now, where we're not. And I've had a lot of people contact me and say, "Well, where y'all was at last week?" We are on 2 weeks out of a month. We're doing bi-weekly shows, so I'm asking everybody to stay in tune with us. We're going to be here today, and we'll be here 14 days from today, which will be the 27th. And we'll, for the next show. Next show, we're going to be moving into something different. I'm just announcing everything. We're going to be talking about family and family structure, the purpose of family. And like I said, as we move into next month, where we talk about, we're going to do a lot more with men next month. Brothers, we coming back. We're going to deal with some man issues. Going to bring back the locker room. Go back in there, talk about love, life, relationship, money, all the stuff that, we sometimes don't feel comfortable sitting down, having grown-up conversations, even with our significant other. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that we want to address as men together, so we can share some knowledge and kind of shoulder each other up in that area, so we can know, okay, it's cool to go home and have these conversations that I've been avoiding. I got a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more insight. So let me go meet my lady halfway. Very much encouraging of family and community. That's what we try to do. Because that's what I believe, and I believe I'm just a person of legacy. If it ain't your thing, then it just ain't your thing. Next on the 27th, I do want to add this too. We will be having a very special guest, Brother Sean Harris. This particular brother really stood out to me. I love his sense of legacy, his sense of family, and this brother's what I would call a financial guru. And what I would say is this is a regular guy. This ain't the guy that got into investments and had $10,000 to throw at the situation. This is a guy that was working a job and decision by decision, moved himself from, poverty into wealth. And very beautiful story. Got 2 beautiful young kids and a wife. Even the young kids are serial entrepreneurs. So I'm going to be very excited to have them come on the 27th and introduce you guys to him. Looking forward to working with him going forward into May, mentoring men. We want to bring him back, get somebody of that quality that can just impart, And my thing, to be honest with you, I don't want to bring nobody that's talking over my head, Yeah, so what, you know how to do it and you got it. But if you can't relate to the average person and you can't, relate that information to a person where it's usable information, then how well can you serve the community? So I thank Brother Sean for agreeing to come on the platform and share, his knowledge and his talents with what we're trying to do in the community. So once again, I'm done working. I'm gonna clock out. And Miss Tanya, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And let's talk to you for a minute.
Of course,
Wherever you want to start. Wherever you want to start.
Well, I mean, now I can say in the last 3 years, I've been finding more peace in my life. Okay. And of course, I had to switch up. I mean, I was in corporate America. I was doing all of that, have business and all that. But in the whole struggle to get to that point, it was a serious struggle and an eye opener. So, it really molded and shaped me to who I am today, even though I'm still on that journey of life.
Right.
But I found out what my purpose was in life.
Wow.
And to me, that's the best thing, worth more than money.
That's the big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel free.
Right.
Now I know what direction to go into, what I need to put my energy into in order to bloom the best way I could bloom.
Right.
And a part of that is my spirituality.
Right.
And like I said, a lot of people know that I'm gifted and I'm using that gift to give back to others.
Right.
And in that gift, I label myself as a spiritual director.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say director, meaning I help direct people through the journey called life.
Right.
In a spiritual way.
Right.
And I use my gift of clairvoyance, clairsentient, claircognizant, clairaudio, to be able to help read the person in order to tell them about things that they might not even know about themselves or they have suppressed. I bring it to light. And I bring certain situations that are hindering them to light.
Right.
And in that clarity that they get, they can gain freedom.
Right.
And I do that. And I
Right.
put a lot of more of my time now in helping people
Right.
to find peace.
Right.
And so that's where my spiritual directory come into.
That's a
And
beautiful
I,
thing.
yeah, and that's what
Is
I do.
that what have you always known that? With my experience with people that do spiritual work, and even people that experience callings, and I just want to acknowledge Elijah. He made it. He made it, y'all. He got the vaccine. He got the second leg. I'm putting all your business out.
I see it, but it's okay.
I'm violating HIPAA law and everything.
Yeah, you're
Right. I'm violating HIPAA law.
I'm making America great again.
He
Everybody,
making America great again.
He's doing his part.
Right.
I'm doing my part. You know.
Right. So glad you make it. Elijah,
Yeah.
this is Tanya, and she
Hi.
version. This is Elijah, my co-host. You see
Yeah.
my brother, my ace. How you been, man?
Man, I'm better. Man,
better?
yeah. You know how they don't drive good up here. All I'm saying,
They don't drive. The traffic was bad.
Man,
Okay.
yeah. But you know,
You got to
yeah.
drive for you and
You know.
Right.
But I made it, and it's all good. So
Right.
I got 100 staring at me right there. Look at how you doing, sir.
100. Yeah. He fresh back off the
His vacation.
Yeah,
fresh off the inner tube.
You
I
got
mean
the
off the
cut
plane.
short. Look at it.
Looking smooth.
Looking like people.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he fresh off the inner tube. So he
It's a good thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a good thing. And they're wrong
No, I'm
with
just happy to see it, man. I'm
Yeah.
just cutting up, Mama. I know Mama probably watching.
Yeah.
You know, I'm cutting up a little bit. I'm just cutting up, Mama.
Yeah.
But
She gonna call in.
right, she gonna call in now. I don't mean that. Yeah, he off the plane or the car. However, we did it. But we talking about domestic violence tonight, y'all. It's a very serious topic.
Oh yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy, and there are so many levels to it, and I think it's important to talk about because guess what? You may be engaged to it right now, and you may be feeling ashamed of it, but it's not your fault. But if you are experiencing it, what we want to try to act as a medium tonight is somebody that's standing in the road that's saying that future does not belong to you. You still have a choice. There are options.
Yeah.
And there are, ways that you can step aside this. And I want to share first, and I'm gonna throw it out as soon as I do, to anybody else that want to pick it up. My own personal experience. I have a very personal experience with domestic violence, and I grew up in a home where domestic violence was a part of my not even my upbringing, just what I saw happening in my household. Okay, this is what I beheld happening to my mom. So this subject, whether it is and before we just totally disconnect and say, oh well, no, that ain't going on. There are so many levels to this. There's this emotional.
Yeah.
There's psychological. There's spiritual. So what I want to encourage you to do is to stay tuned and to listen in. Okay, we ain't nobody trying to blow up your spot, but you need to know that there is help for wherever you at. And if he ain't talking to you right, baby girl,
Right.
don't wait for him to start putting his hands on you. We have to learn to see the proper signs, and we have to know when things are not conducive to our safety. And then on the other side, and this is something me and Tanya talked about, there are men that are being abused,
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
that are experiencing physical abuse at the hand of a woman.
Yes.
Wow.
So this is a very
Oh, yeah.
very serious subject that really needs addressing. Anybody want to add anything before we get in?
Well, a lot of people, you see, it goes unreported because, of course, in society, they put so much pressure on the man.
Right.
The head of the household, supposed to be, be able to guide and lead his family.
Right.
There's a lot of things that a man has to do in order to be acceptable as a man in society. So a lot of it goes unreported, but it's happening. But what is happening even more than the physical is the mental, emotional abuse from women to men.
Right.
That's what.
Right.
And that sometimes will actually turn that man into being violent.
Right.
What does that look like? What does that look like?
Verbal abuse.
Verbal. Right.
I think if you're going to have domestic violence, it very rarely runs by itself. You probably won't ever see a case where it's just that.
That.
And the mental part of it
There's always something.
is to me is as much as some scars could be horrible, but if you could just imagine someone's mind bent to that point to where it alters rational thinking. Some of these women that we talked about it. You know me, I'm gonna Google and do a little homework. Some of these women are in a place in their minds, man. It's hard to understand sometimes.
A state of
Because
broken.
you don't understand, well, why would you go back?
Right.
And the going back, it's not so much that he hit her, it's the going back is he hit the mind.
Logic,
He
right.
have broke her mind. Her mind is broke. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And
Emotionally
he tormented
damaged.
her mind. And she's in a place where 1 and 1 ain't 2. It don't compute.
Right.
This is who he is. This is what I got. But he loved me.
Right.
The kind of or they'll say I love you because I beat you.
Right.
I mean,
And
it's-
a lot
I'm
of
not somebody to say
manipulation.
that.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
manipulation of the mind that
Right.
goes on.
And to me, that's the worst thing.
And exactly, and before even the physical part starts,
Right.
there's a part where they try to break you down. That man or woman try to break you down mentally,
Right.
where you become codependent in all forms. So when he does hit you or she hits you, you're going to think it's normal.
Right. Right.
This is just an extension of
Yeah,
what's been going
exactly
on. Right.
what's been
Right.
going on.
Wow.
It's that somewhere.
Right.
And but it's a mindset. Like I tell people, because I went through domestic violence before with my child's father, and I'm telling you, and this is why I say everybody's capable of murder, because I almost killed him because I felt that was the only way I could escape.
Right.
You understand? Everybody's capable of murder, because when when they take you there emotionally and you feel there's no way out,
Right.
you're gonna fight out of
gonna
the situation at any means necessary
Right.
in protection of your own child.
Right.
So when I hear people was like, women will say, how you stay in that? Let me tell you something. When you emotionally and mentally stripped and he make you feel like you have no out, he's the only one, because guess what?
He's the only one.
I never even realized it crept upon me, and I was young. He isolated my friends. I
That's what I'm
couldn't
saying. How
talk
does
to.
that happen?
I couldn't. That's how it stay in stages.
Right.
That's why I said it starts with a mental thing first, then it gets to emotional, and then it gets to physical.
Right.
Those
You
are
know,
signs, yeah.
he started isolating me from my friends and say I don't need to have no single friends, and I only could talk to his friends who are all married. Yeah, and he'd do that, and he's like, he would give me ultimatums.
Right. No, let me ask you this, and because it's just to interject a different point. Was this a religious person?
No.
Because the interesting thing is you can have abusive religious people, but their vice will all
Obey the word.
They can use the word.
Which they have.
Right.
And that's why you call them the false prophets. They abuse their
Right.
title and their
Use it as
they
a
do
bondage.
that.
Use
They
it as
do.
bondage for people.
They will.
They
Right.
do.
They will.
I've seen that, and that's why I say, well, how do you convince somebody to? And that's what I was saying. What's your friends got to be my friends, or whatever that is. Is that based on this is my moral stand?
That's what
or
he-
this is just my insecurity.
That was his
You know what I mean?
insecurity.
Exactly.
Because he became very obsessed with me and
Right.
possessive.
Wow.
And he started isolating me from my family, telling my I don't need my family, and I don't need to be calling them, and all these things.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I did. But it took a period of time. I was with him for 6 years.
Right.
It took a period of time because people was like, when did he first lay his hand on you? It was 3 years after I met him. He never touched me all that time.
Wow.
It was a process.
Right.
The day I decided I wanted to leave is the day he laid his hand on me and told me over his dead body, and he meant it. It gradually happened. It don't just happen off the back like that.
Right.
So he just,
Is it a codependent type of thing?
Yeah, I became
or do you
dependent. I
always
couldn't
know?
work. I couldn't work.
to me, I'm thinking like this. Okay, so the first time, I'm just saying, the first time he drew back and hit me, my natural instinct is to fight back.
Which is what I did.
Okay.
And it made it worse because, like I said, I've always been a tomboy growing up. I grew up with boys, and it made it worse. But eventually I figured out psychologically how to get around it.
Right.
I had to really start thinking. It became a game.
Right.
That's what it became eventually. A survival game.
Right.
And yes, because I fight like a boy. So I fought him back, and it made it worse
Wow.
because and because I fought back. I hit him as much as he hit me. Then after it escalated to where he would use things to hit me because I was hitting him as hard as he was hitting me.
He would. Okay, see,
Right.
that's,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. The thing
Yeah.
is, you have to look on the other side. Like, what has got this man feeling so?
So why not?
That's why I say it gradually
Right.
happened.
What's his problem?
He became possessive over me.
Why didn't you tell? Why did you contact your family?
He
Yeah.
told me I was afraid. He
embarrassed.
it's all a breakdown emotionally, and I was embarrassed because my family never liked him.
Right.
Right.
My dad never liked him off the back,
right.
and he was what
And you chose
9 years older than me.
And you still chose him in spite
And I
of.
still
So
chose
when it
spite
went
of.
bad,
So when it went bad,
You
I
know,
couldn't call them
and that's not right.
because they never sent me to college to go do all this.
Right.
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 They never spent their hard-earned money to bring me up and support me and do all to be in this mess.
So now I got.
It was
this
an
seat.
embarrassment, and I sat in it.
Wow.
And he even threatened to kill my family.
Oh wow.
See that?
That's how crazy it was.
Right. It's very real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And then some things about it, some of the abusers, and I've seen different kinds. Some of the abusers are unaware. Some of them self-righteous assholes. Just period.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no other way to put it. And some of them know they're abusive.
They are, yeah.
Some of them know it. Some of them got their vice. Well, I only do it when I'm drunk or when I'm high. Or that's the.
And sometimes it's hereditary too, because what they saw, which
What
they
saw.
he saw his father do that to
Right,
his mother,
exactly,
and thought
right.
it was normal.
Exactly. And see, a lot of that carries on
Mm-hmm.
and carry over. I think last show when we talked about mental health and we talked about the patterns that are created
Right.
in the community that just perpetuate
Hand down from
themselves.
generation to
And this,
generation.
unfortunately, is one of them.
Yeah.
This is one of them.
Of course, because back then women were taught not to say nothing. In our
Mm-hmm.
parents' time, they were taught not to say one word.
Right. And to make it look like everything is normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Meanwhile, some kids seeing something that they shouldn't see.
The next generation is being trained.
Right.
And they think it's normal behavior.
Right.
That's the sad thing about it. Because my son ended up having aggression problem because of that.
Wow.
Behavioral problem.
Now I know they have like if you were to do it nowadays, I know in the state of Georgia they have toughened the
The laws,
the
yes. They
laws.
take it out of the hands of the woman.
They're gonna take it out of the hands.
Don't
and they
matter.
will
Somebody
pursue.
going to jail.
Somebody
That's
going to
true.
jail and they coming after you like
Yeah.
they're gonna throw so many more charges on you.
Right.
You got, and I mean, in my mind, you're gonna pay for these classes. You got to do this and do that. But I still think the mental part of it. I still think that there should be some psychological evaluations when you go and rescue some of these women out of these situations. But to just tell these people to separate or to send him to jail and he get out of jail, it's not enough. There's a deeper
Because he's
scar
going to
that's not
take it and
being
do it to
treated.
somebody
Right.
else.
There's a
Right.
deeper scar.
Right.
I think personally he needs to be labeled as such.
Yes.
He needs to be labeled
Exactly.
as such.
Like
He
a
needs to-
rape,
where
like
do
when
we-
the
how
people
do-
got the rape,
Right.
when they rape somebody, they put on the register.
So how do we say the little boy that
child
saw
pregnant.
that think that's right, that grew up with that? Where do we reach him at?
and he needs evaluation.
The child needs
He's gonna need
evaluation.
somebody to
The
talk to.
children
If you
do.
grow up in-
I'm
if
telling
you
you,
grow up in
it
that.
messes you up.
Right.
Because think about
You
it.
carry that into your
I mean-
relationships.
When they're not fighting, that's mom and dad.
Right.
That's cool.
Right.
I'm cool. But then they get in a fight, that turned to something he never seen before.
He letting it happen.
And he letting it happen right there in front of you. And imagine both of them fighting in front of the child, and the mama say, call the police, and daddy say, don't.
You can imagine what it's doing to that child
Exactly.
psychologically.
Right.
Sit down, call the police. Sit down.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that should be a ton of. I think they're not doing enough. I think he need to be labeled. He do.
I
Maybe not on the
do.
first one. That can be something that's done to protect some of these women. Because guess what? When he do it one time, he'll do it again. Now, I believe that.
I went and did a research a couple years after, and found out that my ex had the one he was married to prior to me, because I was engaged to him for all that time because I was afraid to marry him, and I was really young. So I found out that his first wife, he used to beat the hell out of her.
Wow.
And then I found out his mother used to always try to protect me. She used to try to jump. One day she jumped into me and he pushed her down. And if I knew all these signs, that's why I tell people, watch how they
Pushed
treat.
his mom?
He pushed his mother to get to me over a coffee table because she knew he was about to charge after me.
Okay.
She jumped in front of me
And he pushed her down.
and pushed her. I mean, literally threw her across the room to get at me, and then grabbed me by it. I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks in a coma when he was finished with me.
And let me ask you this: did your family after that? Your family
No,
was-
I thought they would have called my mom and my family because they know their number. I was in the hospital all 2 weeks and they never did. When I came to, the doctor looked at me and asked me what happened to me because they're telling that I fell in down the stairs or in the kitchen.
Oh, please! You can look at bruises.
Yeah, well, that's what he's saying. But you see, back then, and this is like you're talking 80s,
Right.
early 90s time. Well, domestic violence wasn't really
Common.
talked about and common.
And it was
Right.
common.
Yeah,
Because you
it was
know,
common, but not
Because
really
you got a
common.
lot of men that are, old school cats that feel like, well, every now and then you have
Yeah.
to tighten them up.
Yeah. Put them in
If she
place.
get out of place, exactly.
Yeah,
Every now and then you have to put them in
that was
place.
what he used to say to me.
Right.
So back then it wasn't a big deal. And at one time I remember when the cops came because the people next door in our condo called them. And they looked at the both of us and they said, okay, what do you want to do? You want to charge her or you want to charge him? No. All right, then y'all need to stop this.
Right.
And then they're gone about the business.
walk
Looking
away.
at the whole place tear up.
Right. No, it's about to be told
Yeah.
again.
What I'm wondering, do they still snatch you up out the house and take you around back and work you over? Because they used to do that in the day.
Who, the cops? The cops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say you want to beat on women?
Well, I mean, we lived during the Black Lives Movement.
Back in the day.
We can't even remember when they doing that.
Okay, I'm showing
Black
the
Lives
age.
will be,
I'm-
they'll be outside the door in a minute.
I heard that.
But back in the day, we ain't gonna go into my
Right.
age.
Right.
But cops show up and wife got black eyes. They beating daddy down. I'm talking about.
I heard about
They gonna
that.
come on, let's go for a walk.
Right.
And they would take him, hopefully put nobody see him.
Wow.
And they broke him off. Now, I'm just saying.
Right.
I seen some cats get broke down like card tape
I've heard about that.
and leave them laying there.
But people need to understand, and the thing I want people to understand how, even though it might happen in a period of their life, how they end up changing for the rest of their life from
Right.
that experience.
It affects
I
the
want
rest
people
of
to
their life.
understand that PTSD also happens
Right.
in an abuse,
Right.
physical abuse, domestic violence. You can get PTSD. I've seen it
Wow.
off of that.
What you hey. So I got another question it's interesting and I'm thrown away with you say you woke up 2 weeks in a coma.
I was in a coma for 2 weeks. That's how bad he beat me. And my parents never knew. It's when I came to, they gave me the doctor gave me but first, before they did that, his sister came into the, to see me. Because I heard she used to come up there every day. We don't get along. I don't like her. Still to this day, I don't like her. Okay. And she came and told me if I tell the doctor or the police what really happened, they will take my child away from me and put in the system.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now,
So-
imagine I'm from another country.
Okay.
I don't know all the laws.
Right.
And I believed it
Okay. So that's
for the sake of my child.
right. Yeah.
Manipulation.
Manipulation.
A lot of that
She
is
told me
part
that,
of
and I
abuse
told them
society.
I slipped and fell in the kitchen.
Because the one thing that I do, and that's why I think growing up and having a close family and having parents that loves you, or growing up in a household where you've seen love and affection between a mom and a dad, or something, there got to be bits and pieces to help people put this together. Because the part that get me is, you tell me you love me, but you beat me down like this.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point, that got to break.
Right.
And so when you said you could hurt him for real, I can understand that. I can understand that, especially with the child involved.
Yeah. Because that's all I was thinking about. That's all I was thinking about was my son. Because I came from a product of divorce.
Okay.
My father beat my mother.
Okay.
And she left him.
Okay.
And when she left us
Wow.
there. And she left me there for a year. But in that year, I endured a lot.
Wow.
And that scarred me. and that's why I stayed in that abuse with him, because I didn't want to leave my son. Because mind you, all this time he stripped me of everything. I couldn't work, I couldn't do nothing. I had to depend on him for money, all of that. So now I'm so isolated, I can't go nowhere.
Your son is that's his father?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And then guess what they did to me? I never want no more children after that.
Wow.
See it changing.
Yeah.
I don't. So everybody's like, why you only had one?
The mental part, man.
That's the mental part.
I can't put.
I don't want no more kids to go through what I went through.
Right.
It's deeper than people know because it's the behavior part. He can say words. He can come at you and I mean verbal abuse.
That
on a
thing is
level
serious.
that will make you. I've seen people shake. I mean, I looked online and it was talking about how
The
certain words
psychological damage.
Right.
trigger like a episode. It'll trigger episode. And I so I mean, when you study it, I just want to say, and I mean, I know we talking and it's the subject. If your man hitting on you, one time is too many.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, we brothers, and we seen some things growing up. But I would say this, and I thank God, I saw stuff that I didn't want. I've always been the type that I can look and say, and I'm just saying this: love shouldn't hurt. I don't care what, not like that.
Right.
And a
Not
lot
like
of them
that.
stay in it for money, for financial,
Oh,
Right.
more than ever.
Right.
Women, especially black women,
Right.
so they'll
if
take.
you look at a
That's
lot of the
that's why
stats,
Right.
you look at the stats of why, and you know, like I said, join up with a lot of these women's centers and stuff, I get to see a lot and, you know, sit down and talk to them and find out what the common thing to why they want to stay. If it's not the children, it's money.
Right.
Wow.
One of the two. No, no.
If I don't deal with this, I'm gonna end up in the shelter with my child.
Right.
And it's even harder to care for them from there.
Exactly. And that's how
Right. At least
we
they
get trapped
stay
as
over
women.
here. Right.
Yeah.
And that's sad and that's ugly and unfortunate.
yeah, it's sad, it's ugly, and it's unfortunate.
It is. I mean, it really is.
So with that said, moving forward, you have to leave him.
Yeah, it got to a point when, and you know, when I snapped out of it,
Why?
I snapped out of it when he came in one day and he said to me, "Where's my dinner?" And I was actually putting things in the washer and stuff, and I was just tuning him out. I was like, I don't know. I never planned to get up that way. I was just I was like in another world. I felt I had to find a way to escape. So I escaped in my head, in my own fantasies. And I didn't really hear him. And he came and he slapped me in my head and he said to me, "Did you hear what I'm saying to you?" And I said, "Why is my dinner not ready?" or whatever. And I had a blank stare that day. And then you know what I did? It was like almost I felt I was a shell of myself. I put down the hamper. I walked into the bedroom. He had a 357 Magnum on top of the Chester drawer. I never ever touched that gun because I hate guns. I went and I picked up the gun and shot at him. Just like that. I never no second thought.
And
And he there jumping around the place, and I shot again. I shot 3 times.
so hold up, he didn't leave.
No, he was running. I was running him around the house.
That was it. That was
I was
it.
not. I was gonna kill you.
Right.
And I tell you, I was stone cold.
Right.
I just did not know where I was. I just, for some reason, I just went somewhere else, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker today."
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had enough. Because there's times where women will just come to a point and they had enough. I was only 20. I had my son at 22. I met him at 18. He got me real fresh out of everything. And I was so sheltered with my family. I didn't know. He taught me a lot.
What happened after the gun thing? Did y'all still hang out? I mean,
So he left, right?
yeah,
He left.
Sure he did. Most people do.
He was like trying to calm down, and he's like trying to move towards the door. He's like, "Calm down," like, and he was like trying against the wall, trying to move towards the door. I said, "Stand still, Steve. Just stand still."
That's what you told
Yeah,
me.
and he's like,
Right.
"Tanya, I love you," and you know, start going on. Now I've never seen him that humble
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
They do
Of
that.
course.
to that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
He had an epiphany.
Yeah. And then he said, just let me leave and go to my mom's house.
Wow.
I said, go ahead.
Wow.
And he walked through the door.
So looking back, are there signs that you saw prior to? Because I'm sure.
No,
did
as
it
an
start
adult,
out-
I'm 50 now. And I tell you what, and I'm, you know what happened? I'm glad it happened then when I was young, because
Right.
I tell you what, I see so much signs of men that I have met that I passed over because I saw those
You
signs.
see that aggressive trait, yeah.
Yeah, because as soon as they get with me, they want to be possessive. Till I was very standoffish, and I was just, it take a lot to get to me because I really pay attention now.
So what are some signs, examples?
Like, you know, a lot of times they will like, if you say, for instance, I remember one time I'm going to give you an example, right? I went to dinner with this guy, and when you know, he pulled out my chair and everything, really nice, right? Then I was ordering something off the menu that I liked. Then he said, no, you should try this. I said, no, I don't eat that. He said, no, seriously, that's what you would like. Right?
Oh, he gonna tell you what they
Yeah.
eat.
So I said, okay, let me just pass over. In my mind, I said, well, you can't tell me what I need to eat.
Eat. Right.
Right? And then he said, yes. And then he goes on and he said, and this wine is very good. I think you will have, you know, taste this. Have you ever? I said, no, I never had it, but I don't like bitter tasting wines. I like more of a sweet flavor or full bodied. And then he was like, no, but this is really, really good. That's a sign right there. He's telling me what I need to eat or drink. And I'm telling him I don't.
Right.
Like,
Well,
that's an example of a sign.
But you know what
And
I
then you will
found?
see, yeah, they will tell you, he's like, he don't ask you nothing about what you like or what you want to do.
Right.
He's telling you that's what you're going to do.
Right.
And he didn't even realize it himself.
Right.
But you know what I found, and I think this is interesting, and I don't know if it's because I grew up in this environment, but you can almost tell some women when you meet them and you're getting to know them if they have been. So that's why, like you were saying, it changed you.
It does. And I tell you what, I'm 50 years old today and I still have triggers from it. And I had to be very truthful to my fiance about it. Because he couldn't understand certain things that he would say or do, and I'll just go from 0 to 100. And I freak out when somebody telling me what to do. Like literally freak the hell
But
out.
see, there are some women
like from
that
0
have
to
the
100.
opposite.
And I'll be
Now,
like, don't tell me what to do, and I'll get all spazzed out.
You have the strong persona. There are some women that will do the opposite. You know, that'll be like, oh, okay.
But
And
I'm
then
not.
after a while,
I'm
if you're a sensitive enough guy, you recognize, well, no, if that's what you want, get what you want. Like, I got to tell you, you know, and then you start wondering, well, what or who broke down your will to where you can't say what your preference is. Like, how come you don't, you know, when you, because I've, you know, being single, have ran into people and there was these little indicators in their behavior that either you haven't been treated freely,
Right.
or you haven't been given, you know, the liberty of being able to make a choice on some simple stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
simple.
damn,
And that's
what
how
do
it
you want?
starts.
Like, I don't know. Get what you want.
Yeah.
Like, who told
And
you?
they're
it was-
expecting you to think for them.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's true. That is a sign.
Yeah.
And that's so sad because it's something that never leaves you. It never leaves you. And it took me a while, and it takes a strong man to deal with me because naturally I'm an alpha. And and my ex felt he had to beat me down because him talking and telling me what to do wasn't working.
Right.
Because I was so me. I'm a spitball, like he calls me firecracker, because I have a strong way of life and how I think and how I am as a person. So he felt, because remember, I was with him a long time before he even laid a hand on me.
Right.
But when I'll be like, and I was so defiant
Right.
Define. Okay.
all the time. And then he felt he had to beat me to shut up.
So what does the road to that look like? Like you said, y'all were
Yeah.
together a long time before.
Yeah,
What is that road?
You see,
What
I
is the
allowed him
warning
to take
sign?
over because you know what happened? But then when looking back, I realized I picked my father.
Oh.
He was like that with my mom. Possessive, obsessive over her. He married her. My mom was 18.
Wow.
And I picked my father. And he broke me down like that. It's gradually happened. Then he told me I can't go back to work. I was like, why? You don't need to work. I am already loaded with money, which he did have money. You don't need to work.
I told you about that leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what he was doing was isolating me. He knew what he was doing because he'd
Right.
been in this rodeo before.
I don't. Well, you know what? And I'll say this: if you're not compatible, I mean, well, I'm just making a statement based on that. You get a lot of people that out there. If a woman is, you feel like that much an alpha over you.
He beat me down into submission. That's what that was.
Why didn't he just get his game together and get his?
And I didn't know no better. I didn't know any better.
This
is something I did.
Yeah, I didn't know any better.
Domestic violence occurred. I'm just going to read this off the line. Domestic violence occurs when the abuser believes that the abuse is an entitlement, acceptable, justified, or unlikely to be reported.
Yeah, because they would tell you things. Your abuser would tell you things like, "You made me do this to you because you did this and you did that.
Right.
You know I don't like it, so you caused this on yourself." And what he would do to me is that we'll get in a altercation, and then he go buy me stuff.
Right.
Because he had money like that, so he would just buy me stuff or take me somewhere.
Right.
So I would just forget it.
Right.
That's what
And
he
that's
did.
no life.
Yeah.
That's no life.
But like I said, I was young and naive.
Yeah.
I
that's
was
no
young.
life.
This man met me as a virgin. I was very young and naive.
I said leverage on anything, and leverage on anything in life. Leverage is always going to win.
Yeah.
But see the thing too, when what I think, and I don't know if y'all can hear what Disco said. Yeah, leverage is one thing, but after a while, it ain't even about the leverage. Because I got your mind. Like, your mind is
I'm
gone.
saying that's part of leverage, though.
Yeah.
Leverage is just
Leverage led you to where I could get the whole lot.
leverage-
Yeah. It's right.
leverage is the title of the page.
Right.
Everything else go up under that.
Right.
Your mind, your soul.
I'm leveraging all of you. Right.
The leverage is just the main title.
Right.
Everything else just goes up under it. But leverage is the key thing.
Yeah. They get leverage over you.
I'm gonna take everything
To make you feel like you need me.
Yes. And that's what he did with me.
Pour down everything else.
But
But I've seen situations where the person that's being abused is the stable one. I've seen the abuser not be the provider.
I've seen that.
Yeah, like
I've seen it in a girlfriend of mine too. I mean, I was blown away. I couldn't understand that concept.
What good are you? You
She's
waiting
the
at
one with
home
the
to
money,
beat
and
me.
he ain't doing nothing but laying up in the couch.
If I get home late from
But you know
work,
what his leverage was?
he gonna beat me.
What was his leverage?
if you get home late,
There we
Get
go.
home late from
No,
work.
no,
he gonna
you're
beat me.
right.
He been at
It
home
was.
all day.
Wait, you see, that's a good point because that is so true. Because that's
She
what
said-
my
she
friend,
said
the
she
girl
knows
that
that.
was in a situation like that, that's what she told me. I said, "Are you serious?"
Right.
So in my mind, I said she must have had some issue when she was
Nah, he
younger,
put that thing on.
whether she was sexually
That's what it was.
abused
Yeah.
or
That was-
something.
that was
Something
clear.
happened
Right.
for her to think that was acceptable
Right. Right.
because he uses sex
And see, listen,
to hold her down.
right.
right. And see, that's another thing, and that's what I wanted to get into about this domestic
Give her
violence.
leverage. Yes,
Sexual
absolutely.
is a part of it.
Yes.
Right.
Spiritual is a part of it. We just think, oh, he smacked her up. No.
No.
It's psychological, the way he talking to you, the way he using sex, the way he's manipulating the finances. He or she manipulate the finance. This going both ways because it goes both ways. You know what I mean?
You know when the man leverages they got out there? A man that know a woman ain't got nobody to turn to.
Right.
Oh, they know who they're seeking out.
Or a woman
They
that knows
know
he done turned a man
Right.
out. He
They
ain't
know-
never had a woman like me. I know he turned out.
I
done seen it.
That's true.
And that leads to different things. Yeah, okay, well, she might not put her hands on him, but she gonna talk about him like a dog. And no matter how many jobs he get, he ain't gonna never be good enough. And he gonna always be insecure in everything that he do. Meanwhile, he is a slave to this dysfunctional situation.
And you know, those are the
That's
ones, the
abuse.
most cases where it ended up in death was the one where the man don't do nothing.
He
But
just-
lay up in the house and just do nothing. Those are the ones that end up killing the women.
Really? What, man?
The percentage is
Ain't-
higher.
Really ain't doing
Yeah,
that.
the percentage is
And
higher.
much
than
lower than you
cases.
can go. You can't go to much lower.
That she's the
You
one.
didn't work and you killed
That
the
much
woman.
lower than you can go. You sitting at the house all day and your
And he
nigga
will
working.
kill her before she leave him because he's depending on her in a different way.
Right. Right.
So he rather kill her.
Right. Because you ain't finna go nowhere.
Yeah, you ain't
and
gonna
be-
go nowhere.
You ain't gonna go nowhere and be what you are for me, for somebody else.
Exactly, because he know no woman gonna pick him up like that.
Right.
It's gonna take him a lot of work to get to that level.
Because I done rolled your back like a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
And he would
Nobody
rather
else
kill her. He would rather kill her
Then
before
let-
let
then
it
yeah.
go.
I gotta say this, but I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm
Let's go.
I don't gotta be seen, but listen.
Oh, come on.
I was saying it on one show before. People don't think about this part. A woman can use the lack of a fatherhood as leverage. Let me explain that. When you meet a man who didn't have a father in his life, and he tells a woman how grateful he is to finally be a father. It's so many women would take that word right there and use that child as leverage on a man.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and vice versa too, because my ex used my son as leverage for me to stay, because he knew I came from a divorced family.
Yeah.
And you didn't want that.
And I never wanted
So you
to,
put up with
and
all
I
that
put
shit.
up with it for 6 years because of my
how to
son.
find the good ones. Is it a magnet on the? How they know how to find it?
Like I said, he was way older than
They
me.
see damage with
He was,
men. They see
yeah. I was very naive. I was very
For
sheltered.
example, if I got ooh, right, and you see a scar on my right hand, which hand you gonna grab?
Right.
You gonna heal my right hand. So when you meet somebody, you can see damage somewhere. You attack. You either gonna heal that damage or you gonna take that damage to better yourself.
Right. You gonna exploit it or
take
you gonna
advantage.
Well,
right. Or help it.
initially,
heal it or
Yeah.
exploit it.
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
I get that.
yeah. I mean,
That's why.
It is.
my parents wasn't in Miami when I was going to college, and that's when I met him. They
Right.
were in California
Right.
when I met him. He literally ran me down. He's way older than me. He was 9 years older than me.
So did you
Right.
deal with one? Did you deal with one or more than one bad? You
Abusive.
learn. No, I'm not saying with no disrespect. by
No,
saying this.
no.
Did you learn after that first time not do it again?
Oh, hell yeah.
Because some women
That was enough.
They go from one
Oh,
abusive
that was
man
yeah,
to
no,
another.
that was it.
Right.
I never had no issue. What was happening to me though, I became verbally abusive
to other people,
to my ex-husband.
and he didn't want to deserve it.
And he didn't deserve it. I mean, he you know, he gave me enough drama and trouble, but it wasn't worth none of that.
So
You understand?
what I'm asking you is the guy that caused the damage.
Mm-hmm.
Did
The
you treat
abuser.
another man like? Did you treat another man like shit because of what he did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay, that's right.
And that's why I'm very lethal with my mouth. And because that's how it was with him, and because he couldn't deal with my mouth, he beat me.
Wow.
Because I used to make him feel like crap, you know.
But-
So he beat me to submission. But yes, I became verbally abusive to men.
Right. And that affected your
I
relationship
demasculate
too.
them when I get them piss me off. I demasculate them, and
Yeah.
but I came fiercely independent. That I felt I never need a man.
And how did that journey transition? How did you, is that where you are now, or how did you find your way beyond that?
Well, after that, and I met my ex-husband, and even though he financially, well, I got a divorce based on financial fraud, because he just misused my money and all of that, you know, just did a whole bunch of things, and during that whole thing, I'm not gonna say everything was him. I just felt he should have been more of a man. You know, in a lot of situations, he made his mother run him. He was a mama's boy.
Okay.
And a lot of that interaction with she trying to tell and come into our relationship, it was just a whole mess.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it was a whole bunch of other stuff, but nothing that detrimental. But for me, I end up losing respect for him, and I started to verbally abuse him. Trust me, it's hard for me to even say that, because when I look back at it, it was just not kind at all. But it was coming from a place of hurt. Because my father disappointed me. My child's father disappointed me. So I felt that I just always came with the notion that they're going to eventually disappoint me anyway. So why should I care?
Right. So,
You know?
Wow.
So I had that mental state. And I never knew I was verbally abusing him until after.
Really?
When we went to therapy, he begged me to go to therapy. And because he wanted me to stay in the marriage. I did not want to. But I went. My mother said, Tanya, go to therapy with him, even though you're legally separated now, because you never know what you learn. Then you can probably find out what your contribution to all this was. Because and I said, you know what? Yes, so I don't carry it into my next relationship.
Right.
And I went.
And you really have to heal from those things, because you really will transfer.
Yeah. And I went to
a lot of
therapy
that.
with him, even after we were legally separated, and then we divorced.
Wow.
Yeah, because I said, you know what, let me do it. Because my mom said, it makes sense when my mother reasoned with me. You know, and she said, you know, you want to make sure that whatever it is that caused the breakdown, or even if you might see that he did all of this, but then you remember you had contribute to that too, to the breakdown as well. And so I went, and yeah, I learned that I was what's the word? I get tongue tied.
Dysfunctional.
You know, I was stripping him of his manhood,
Demasculating.
demasculating
Yeah.
him,
They do that shit.
right? And by certain things, I never knew that that's what I was doing.
But it was
It was an eye opener for me. Yeah, and I was like, and then the therapist said, and that is abusive. I never knew that was abusive, because in my mind, because I've had physical abuse, I thought that was, and that is the whole alone. That's when I started learning the different versions of being abused.
Let me share this real quick.
Okay.
Emotional abuse is a pattern of behavior that threatens, intimidates, dehumanizes, or systematically undermines your self-worth.
Yes.
Okay? So when you're always being checked or brought down, or your self-confidence or your
Self-esteem is-
self-esteem
Yeah.
is being stripped from you,
Yeah.
that is domestic violence. And it's not all of this falling under, you can Google domestic violence, not abuse.
Violence. Yeah.
Violence. Because we don't see the emotional thing that happened to us as violence. But when you recognize, just like you were just sharing, these scars go forward with you in life.
And
if
you
you're
end
not
up doing it to
corrected-
somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it might be in
Hurt people.
the same form or a different form.
And that's what I was.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. So I'm just going back from what you say. Your mom and your dad, you saw it,
Yeah, my biological father would beat my mom.
and then you married a guy, and then
That was very much like my father, and I
Right.
never knew.
Right.
and then you end up doing it. And that's
Right.
I mean, so my next question is, how is your son, right? How is he? Is he
No,
is
he
he
does.
dealing with it? Do you address it? Have y'all talked about it?
One thing I'm appreciative of, that my son and I have a very good relationship. But what happened is that he blamed me for years for breaking up the marriage. Well, I was engaged to him, but not married. His father, the whole thing.
Breaking the family.
Yeah, and it affected him. But I felt at the time when he was going through all that, he wouldn't understand if I told him what really went on.
Right.
Because, but he blamed me because his father told him that I was the one that left him.
His father was the one
I'm the
left
one
to
that
tell
broke up the
story.
family. Yeah.
Right.
And that's what he said. So I had a problem with my son for a long time. And I had to sit there and take it. Because I don't think he would ever understand.
Right.
But now, 5 years ago, I had the conversation and told him what really went down. And his father telling his lie. His father just finally admitted 2 years ago that's what he did to me.
Wow.
And guess what happened? My son has now come so overprotective of me.
Wow.
If I don't bring no man around my child,
Right.
my son. Well, he's grown. No, he's 30.
Right.
Unless I know I'm going to marry him. Because he's fiercely overprotected of me because of that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It definitely
majorly
affects-
overprotected.
It affects the male.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. He was like, he's very on edge. If anybody comes around me, it's like he has this very mean look. And I'll be like, Jason, calm down.
Right.
Like, it's okay.
Right.
What are you looking at? Like, why are you staring at you? He's very overprotective.
So it does affect.
Yes, it
And
does.
So there are scars, and what he got to do, he's got to be careful to be able to know how to respond and treat his wife or his
Right.
significant other.
And yeah, and thank God we have that relationship. Like, he called me last week telling about some new girl he met, and I said, babe, why you just had another girlfriend a week ago? Well, she was too possessive. I can't deal with that, and she about this too much. And I said, but I thought you really liked her. He said, yeah, mom, but every time I'm on the phone, she think I'm doing something. Remember that time I was calling you? She thought it was another woman on the phone, and it was just too much.
Right.
And so he left her, and was asking me about this. But we have that relationship where he can talk to me
Right.
and stuff. I know he has some aggression problem, and it's because of that. So I allow him to vent and do whatever on the phone with me.
Right. Right.
to get it out.
Right. That's important to be able to talk about it.
I think, and like what you were saying, she was too possessive. Most of the time, and I'm not saying sometimes one or two things happen. The children that live through it, they grow up and either they don't do it or they do it. And of course, that's the only thing they can
Yeah,
do.
one or
But some
two.
of 'em-
Right.
But some of them can be like, I mean, it can scar. It rolls over into their household.
Right.
They end up being abusive to their children, and it's some hurt from way back. It's some mental stuff because when he's mentally abusing her and the children seeing it, it's the same thing to them. So the same thing is happening. But now I'll say this, and I'm speaking for me, and I'm being a little open on this. It made me to where no, I grew up and I just some things I seen. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna accept this. I won't accept this from nobody. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna. And one of those things, where I was like, you know what? I ain't here no more. I'm just not gonna do it. If I gotta hit her, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
Because I'm not gonna hit her. If I can't handle her, if we can't talk, we can't work this out. If my words don't mean anything to you, then you're not
Right.
with me.
I'm not gonna physically
No.
restrain you.
Right. So I mean, and I'm not saying I'm so far removed from I can get some intimidated men who don't know how, who hadn't been raised, who don't know. But at the same time, now, me personally, oh, I can't.
You see, my brothers, how they were affected, because it affected each one of us differently.
Right.
But not one of them touched their wives. None of them touched
that's
their
what I was
wives.
getting
But
at.
what they did, they're very controlling because their wives keep calling me, talking, asking
They're very
me. It's
controlling.
like, Jesus, please, can you just talk some
Right.
sense into your brother? Like,
Right.
and they're very controlling. And
Right.
and they will admit it, that's what they suffer from.
Or you can be
Learning
cool
not
at
to be
being
controlled.
mean because I'm not putting my hand on you.
Yeah, but
I'll be damned if
yeah,
you don't.
I seen it.
Better, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
That-
everything else.
that's
It's
how
the
it is.
emotional and all
Yeah.
the other.
Okay,
It's
it's
a hard-
It's domestic violence, but it's just
I
not.
can't-
They don't put their hands on it, but they become
Right.
controlling.
You're still in the house.
You have to. I mean, you
Yeah,
do.
and I know when they have tempers too,
Right.
and their wives won't even go near them if they get like that,
Right.
and that's a result of that too.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's important too to understand in relationships. Relationships are about coming together and about love. They're not about control.
Yeah.
They're not about manipulation. So anytime I see the dynamic of fear in a relationship,
Right.
there's an abuser somewhere there.
Right.
I look for respect. I look for a man to respect his wife. If he don't respect his wife,
Yeah.
that's on him, bro. You can come to the shop and talk all you want.
Right.
You don't respect your wife, bro. You to a real man, you just
Right.
cut yourself down a couple of
Yeah.
notches.
Right.
Because that's the one that really got you. But it plays out in different ways. You'll
Yeah.
find, somebody that's gonna be he's gonna be mean. I'm not gonna put my hand on her, but I'm not as bad as my father was because he put his hand on her. But
Right.
I'm a I'll be
But I'm a mentally
take-
abuser.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat it down.
Because we know somebody, like, I knew somebody personally.
Yeah,
The way they talk to their wife, I'm like, man.
Oh, sometimes I
Like,
see that and I
you
be
don't go
shocked,
I have
and I'll be like, oh, but
like,
I get up and
sleep in the
leave.
bed with her, like, you ain't gonna, like,
Oh, one time I went to somebody's house and I saw how her husband talked to her and stuff. I mean, it's totally different from when she's operating outside at work.
Right.
She's a total different person. I was
Yeah.
like blown away.
To see a person
And I sat,
curl themselves.
yeah, and I said, I couldn't sit there.
Right.
I said, I gotta go. She said, why? I said, no, I gotta go.
Right.
I'll talk to you later.
Right.
I couldn't stay.
Wow.
Embarrassed for
I
you.
was embarrassed for her.
Right.
Wow. So I mean, the mental abuse I was thinking about. We was just saying it. I mean, so I'm not gonna put my hands on you, but I'm gonna
Call you
verbally.
everything.
I'm gonna dog you out. You ain't gonna be able to eat. Your
The
body.
economic-
You gonna have symptoms.
Right.
Your hair falling out. You
Right.
ain't gonna sleep.
Right.
Because I'm gonna be up in that man, and that's
Right.
crazy.
And a lot of men, with the whole sex thing, they will be beating the shit out of you and then expect you to have
Yeah.
sex with them.
Oh, yeah.
And it make sure you better make it
Imagine how they
good.
make you feel.
Yeah.
Imagine how you.
And that's rape.
That's
Exactly.
right. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
not acceptable.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
that's-
not acceptable. Even if you're married, it's not acceptable.
You got to get beat up and then we can't call it making love. It's rape.
Yeah, it's rape.
It's
It's
literally-
rape.
Right.
Because she's afraid.
Right.
Yeah.
She's afraid of her life. Just like if she would be if somebody was raping her.
Right. We have
Beaten into submission.
a hotline number on the
was
screen for everybody. The number is 1-800-33-HAVEN. I'm gonna give you the number out for the cerebral people. It's 1-800-384-2836. Call somebody and talk. And I mean, we kind of jumping around and talk about a lot of little things,
Right.
but you know, in your hearts of hearts, if and that's why I said, if you're sitting in your relationship and fear is a part of it, you know, do some self-examination tonight.
Absolutely.
You know, don't sit around and wait for the physical to manifest. Don't sit around and continue to accept the emotional and the mental and the psychological abuse. Because yeah, it's just words, you know, right now, and how are those words feeling? They're not, the words not even feeling good. So why are we gonna wait for some
Until it gets
physical?
abusive. Yeah, until it gets
Absolutely.
physical.
Absolutely. There's no reason, you know, and I know there's a lot of people that feel, you know, sometimes, you know, love hurts. Listen.
And don't make children be
Right.
the reason you stay.
Exactly.
Please don't.
Right.
That's what I did.
Right. Because
Don't do
that involves the kids
Yeah.
in that same cycle.
Don't do it.
So-
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I know
No,
you're
go
going
ahead.
through that. So when you was demasculating him, he would hit you because he couldn't handle with the mouth.
My mouth.
And so
So now we got two things.
And that's how he used to break me.
Wow.
so you abusing him and he's physically abusing you.
Right. We got two. Right.
Yeah, that's a whole lot.
But I've heard somebody say this before.
That's a whole lot of broken.
With the woman at the end of the day, her last line of defense is her mouth.
It's her mouth.
And that's a hell of a tool. Because
Yeah.
a woman can take her mouth.
And
But
that's-
at the same time, dude, if you weak,
That way, girl.
that weak to where something she
Let me
say
tell you
gonna make
something.
you put your hands on her, you weak
But
anyway.
let me
bro.
tell you something.
You
Jay.
just
I
weak.
ain't never touched a woman in my whole life.
Right.
Now shaking, I done shook the hell out of a bunch of them.
Okay.
I'm talking about that just that one shaker, like move, I'm trying to go.
Right.
Because back in the day, they'd go off when you trying to leave, they're going to block the door.
Right.
Yeah.
So I done had where I had to just move you out the way, but never done violent. My point I'm trying to say is, some women push to that point to get that attention.
Right.
I'm not saying it's right to put your hands on.
And it's not healthy.
It's not, and they do it to get that man attention,
Yes.
and then they get his attention, and that attention they want it.
Right.
So like you said, some cats
Yeah.
fall right into that trap, and the wholeness come out of them. I call them wholeness.
Yeah.
The wholeness
Right.
come out of them when they put their hands on the female versus
Right.
saying, "Look up, mama,
Right.
we ain't doing this."
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But see, you got someone to call that man a B,
Right.
Yeah.
a PASS.
Right.
Well, at
Or
the
you
time when
FN.
I did that to
Right.
my
It
ex-husband.
met with your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting up, going to work.
Right.
I'm raising you,
And you
kids,
call
some
me-
more kids,
Right.
and I make sure y'all eat every day. And you got there to call me a BAA and one of
Uh-huh.
that. And now the cat you laying up that you laid up with,
Right.
this my thing. The cat you laid up with
Right.
and made these babies.
Right.
He was a king.
Right.
He left her and all these babies.
Right.
Now I'm the bitch ass nigga.
That's taking care
That's
of
taking care
everything.
of them.
Right. And you want to roll up on me.
So
I
it
feel you, my
dropped
brother.
man to that point where you got some damn nerve.
Right. Right.
That's true. That's
Right.
one
It
situation.
ain't right either way.
And I ain't saying
No.
it's
And see, and that's
Well,
why it's
for
a
me,
good thing.
Bounce.
mine,
Right.
I don't even,
Right.
I
Come
never
on,
was
come on.
I was never verbally abusive to him, my child's father.
It was the next.
It was my
Next dude.
yes,
Yeah.
that I was married to for 11
Okay,
years is
okay.
when because of the result of that.
Right.
Right.
But like I told
Right.
you before, I told you before on the other shows, my uncle always said, you can always put the hell in somebody.
Yeah.
You can always
Put
put
that
the
hell
hell in somebody.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
carry it with them.
I'm
Next
saying,
person gonna catch it.
I'm
All of
saying,
it.
Yeah.
I say this.
Yeah.
And he caught all of it.
Hey, roll up, just roll, bro. It ain't worth it.
Right.
No, but I learned now.
Right.
You know, I learned now.
You'll get over it.
Oh, Rick
Right.
ain't playing.
You'll get over it.
Oh, he ain't playing with me.
Right.
Because man, these folks ain't playing. They're gonna put some cases on you. You're gonna end up somewhere you don't want to be.
Right.
And somebody gonna do something to you. If the woman don't kill you, you're gonna end up where you don't want to be.
Right.
And so it ain't worth it.
And the
Roll.
thing that's sad about it nowadays, you're finding it becoming more and more violent to where the person ain't surviving. Like, you know, they rolling up, killing the person.
Yeah.
You know,
It's-
used to
it's
be
so
she was
bad.
over there with him for years getting beat. Now, you know,
Yeah, she killing it.
right. She shot him up, or you know, he done shot the house up, and all these things fester, and we don't heal from them, and we pass them on. So wherever you are, even if you don't feel like you are deserving of it, change the future, you know, for your child. Change the future. I mean, really first for yourself, because you are deserving of life by the mere fact that you have it. Okay, God qualified you and gave you that. So to sit on the sideline and let somebody take this from you, you know, and force you, you know, to live in some kind of shame is unacceptable. What I want to get across to people is there is a whole community of people out here ready to embrace you. You are not by yourself
Absolutely.
going through this. You know what I mean? You are not by yourself. There are people who not just sitting out here, you know, preaching it to you from the pulpit, have personal experience. That's ready to say, you know what? I know how it feel to walk away and still leave part of you behind, and you don't really understand why. You know, and that's the thing that abuse do for you. It makes you want to run, but part of you is stuck.
Right.
You don't know what you are outside of the abuse.
Man.
And it takes
Because
a while
you've been
to heal
broken
from
down.
it. It
Right.
it takes years.
Right.
I just like in the recent 8 years ago came to peace with it. I've been divorced 7 years.
Right.
It took me 8 years to come to peace with how I developed in my behavior
Right.
and how aggressive and violent I became.
Right.
And I just forgave him. I just now forgiving my child's father.
Wow.
It was too much energy. It was too much energy to carry that weight. And that came with my spiritual awakening.
Right.
You know, I had to let it go and just forgive him and forgive myself. More important, forgive myself for sitting in it.
Right.
Right.
I did more damage to my son. If I had left, he would have never experienced none of that. But I did more damage to him by staying. That's why don't make children be the
Exactly.
reason you
The
stay in an
excuse. Right.
abusive relationship.
So it ain't always cheaper to keep. Sometimes I want to put it back.
Sometimes you gotta know when
No,
to hold,
let it
know
go.
when to fold 'em,
Let
know
it
when to
go.
walk away, know when to run.
No,
I mean, I need to run.
you good.
And you got some women out there, boy.
Figure out the rest when you get out there. Sometimes you just got to get out. You just got to get out. And you just got to trust that there's something bigger than you that got a better life for you than you sitting there being somebody's prisoner.
Wow.
And go. Whatever go mean. In the middle of the night, when they go to work, move. Call somebody. But the thing about it is, work through your shame.
Yeah.
Don't let your situation shame you to silence. Because at the same time as shaming you to silence, it's damning you to the same predicament for tomorrow. That's the only way you can secure that it's going to continue, is to stay silent or to continue to feel shame. And it's not your fault that this is happening.
And you know, the sad thing, a lot of some stories I've heard from other women that have gone through it, like myself, they have friends that tell them to stay because of money. Man, that's a shame. You're going to tell your friend who is fighting for her life to stay in it and endure it because of money
Right,
and status.
right.
You have
when
some
you
people
got-
out there advising them all way wrong.
Wow.
Because when you get tired of beating you down, the option to stay ain't going to be there. You got to get the hell out.
Oh, because
And he
guess
gonna
what? There's
drag you
times
out
I've
and
seen
throw
things.
you out. The
Thank
same thing
you.
he was throwing you
I've
around.
seen that happen.
He gonna throw you
He
out.
will drag you, pull you outside, and then throw your stuff outside if he
Exactly.
decides to give you anything that he has bought for you.
Exactly.
And what are you gonna do
Exactly. And then guess what,
when
bro?
he's tired of you?
And this on the flip side for the brothers. After you done that direct deposit check done hit the bank and you get to the house and she got a little thugger at the house and he got a little line on him, you know, and she the one that signed the lease,
Right.
the rental lease. So you got a thug in your driveway and you know she'll call the cops and your name ain't on the lease and your check just went to that account.
Right.
And she gonna call you she gonna call you a bitch. She gonna-
On top of that, on
on top of that. And have your clothes in the bag.
and men
You
do
know
not
what I
let
mean? So
a
you
woman
ain't
throw
doing
things
nobody
at you.
Up in the
Right.
street.
Men do not allow women to throw things
Don't.
at you because if they can throw things at you, they can
Don't.
lay hands on you. Don't get if they start
let 'em do
if a
it.
woman starts throwing things at you, just leave.
Leave. Right. Yeah.
Just leave.
Yeah. I tell you like my mama told me, she said, make sure your name is where you stay.
You know what men
Right.
don't understand too?
Right.
I had to tell 3 dudes this, and I might lie to you. Within the last month, I told 3 different dudes that's going through a breakup. I had to tell them this right here. I had to tell them that you can get a man can get a police escort. They don't know what that is.
Right.
If I'm breaking up with my lady, I can leave the house
My
and
ex-husband did
call.
that.
Mhm.
He
I
got
can
a
call
cop.
the police
Yeah.
department and say,
He
"Look,
did.
I'm going back to the house. I want a police escort,
Escort.
to get
My
my stuff."
ex-husband
But
did
so
that.
many men
Mhm.
got so much pride,
They don't want to do
they
it.
don't want to do it. Now
Right.
they walk in that door,
And she come out
and
with
some go
that
down,
357.
his ass going to jail.
Right.
That was funny because my ex-husband
Right.
did that. I was laughing because when I see the cop come up to my door,
Uh-huh.
and then he rose up 5 minutes after, I'm like, "Can I help you?"
Right.
And then he's like, "Well, Mrs. Taylor, your husband called us and asked for a police escort." I said, "For what?"
Right.
He said he just want to make sure nothing happened because he don't have a temper.
Right.
Because the guy, and he looking at me, and then when my ex-husband came up to the door,
So,
the cop was looking at me, and he said, "This is who you're talking about. This is Spitfire.
Right.
This is
Right.
a ball." He said, "She's
Right.
a Tasmanian devil."
Right.
And he said, "I just want to go grab my clothes
Right.
and just go." So I stood right beside the cop at the door entrance with him.
Y'all hear that, bro?
He held my hand. Like, I have not touched him or anything
Right.
before, but I just be cussing him out.
Right.
But he felt that if he come back, because
But
I
you
already
beha-
want
but-
no,
but you
see, I was
behave.
pissed. Yeah,
Right.
because
But you
I
behave though, right?
no, I behaved.
You see it work, yo.
He know I
Get
was
your
hot that
escort.
day because I found out that he was taking money out of my account.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, yeah,
that's
he
a
needs-
pop off.
This is when we were legally separated.
Right.
But you don't see like the type of people.
When they had froze our thing and told us we not to trouble none of the money.
And you know what words and what to hit.
Yes,
to get
that
it.
hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah, too.
So yeah.
And that's a part of manipulation.
Right.
I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
That marriage taught me a lot.
Right.
I don't regret being married because it taught me a lot.
And that's what men are. Now listen,
Yeah.
your woman learning you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if it come down to it, and if she got to use her lethal weapon, that mouth, she
Yeah,
will
and I have
fire
a mouth.
your ass up.
I heard
Just
some
believe
women-
it.
I heard some women tell my partners, "Oh, that ain't your baby, no way."
Right. That's what I'm saying. Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh,
When they
no.
fire you up,
And they say stuff.
especially if you're on the way out.
I would never do that.
Now you going up the street thinking,
I would never do something like that.
if you
That's
know if you
fine.
turn back, she gonna call the cops. So now you got a whole
And
nother.
then he turned around.
Right. He turned around and came back. And that-
No, you want to beat that shit out of her.
Right.
No, that I think is that's too much.
But I'm saying,
That's
some women
no.
take-
I've seen that.
They
I've seen
take it
that.
up for that reaction
Yeah,
they can-
because they're mad,
Yeah.
so they try to hit them below the belt.
because
Yeah.
they know that once they call the
They
police,
want to
they're
get you
going
like that.
I
Yeah.
want to hurt him.
I want to hurt.
Well, yeah, well, let them do that because they want you to get arrested because they're trying to get back at you.
Well,
Yes.
I always had a rule, and people know this, and nobody, knock on wood, never done this to me. I had a rule: any female I dated, you had one time,
To call the cop.
and I'm done with you. Because if you,
Right.
if you don't mind taking my,
Or even threaten. Or even
no, I'm
threaten.
telling you, threaten. If you don't value my freedom, then you
Don't value you.
You don't value me.
I agree.
But I'm gonna say this in full disclosure. This in it, I'm sure, like you said, he just said he ain't never put his hands on nobody.
No, female.
Oh no, female. Right. If he putting his hand on you, whoever you are, you need to call the police. That don't apply.
Yes, do not accept
So what?
it. It's
Right,
not
right,
acceptable.
right. We
Period.
talking about
That's what
somebody.
I'm
They
gonna
putting their hands on you, call the cops.
Yeah.
Now, if you got a man, okay, well he mad and he done slammed the door and he done went down in the garage.
Don't call the cops
He
for
gonna
that.
drink him 2
I
beers
know.
and he might come back and cuss
Yeah.
him off.
I see women do them dumb things like they would call the cops for the simple thing and then
Right.
say to them, I've seen it actually happen with a male friend of mine.
Right.
And guess what? She told the cop that he hit her.
Oh shit.
She hit herself.
And then
Oh,
And
so
then-
that's the,
and
that's
he-
the
yeah.
thin line.
And yeah, because they had a child together and he still didn't want to be in the relationship. She used the pregnancy to keep him and he still did not want to be in it. Right?
I almost said
She caused physical harm to herself and said it was him.
wow.
And they came and arrested him. Yes. And then she went by, she said the biggest mistake she did is went and tell her best friend, but thank God her best friend was smart enough what she did. And then she went and, reported it.
And told the
And
truth.
she got arrested for falsifying document. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
Love
They
and
didn't
war.
want to hear nothing from him.
Love and war.
They did
honey.
not want to hear nothing, especially when you're black. They did not want to hear nothing. He said, I didn't touch you. I didn't do
Right.
They didn't
Somebody
care. You going to jail.
Somebody going to jail.
She got them scars on. her.
Right. Yeah.
But she hit herself to make it look like, yeah,
No,
that's serious.
Yeah, it is.
Them women, you want to run to the hills.
Right.
And they hear you,
brother,
son.
it's going both ways.
Hey,
It's going both
They
ways.
do.
I think it's more women. I think it's more women abuse. Well, I mean, more men. Well, I think it's more women abusing men than we think.
No, there is. It's just
Because
going.
men
It's
are
not
not reporting.
exactly. It's
got
not
too
being
much ego.
reported. And but what is so frequent and become now a regular thing in the
Yeah,
household
yeah.
is the verbal abuse to men
Right.
from women.
Right.
That is rampant in, especially in the
Oh,
black
you ain't
community.
talking to me.
And you know why? You know why most
sorry.
a lot of men will sit there and take it because of most of the time when they grew up and their mom got on to them,
Yeah.
so they just take it as cheddar. But given enough time, a woman can say the right stuff to hit the right keys, and
he
given
snaps.
a period of time, he snapped, and then when he got in the chokehold,
Right. Or he watch
It ain't
mama.
funny, but I'm just
But
saying
then
it's
a
all
lot of black men,
right.
a lot of black men sit in
Right.
it too because growing up with a single mother,
Yeah.
they don't have time to invest in their
Yeah.
children because they're so busy trying to survive.
Right.
They don't give that nourishment and love and attention to their boys.
Right.
And it's like, you better have some balls.
Right.
And they couldn't
Yeah.
show no, so they don't know.
Right.
They don't know how to love a woman. So when they come into something and the woman is verbally abusing them, they think it's norm because they're so used to their mother shouting at them.
Yelling, screaming.
Mama
That's what
been
I'm saying.
right. They don't grew up listening to mama talk about that ain't nothing.
So I think it's a part of
So
love.
to have a bickering woman in your ear, and then I mean, just imagine the psychological abuse of that
It's
man.
normal because
He's
he
not
don't know
efficient
better.
in anything because the woman that he sleep with,
And we already know. We already know what
crazy.
happens. We already know the girls grow up and think the man ain't that, and even though they out there and they want him,
Right.
but technically he ain't that because
Right.
her daddy wasn't that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. So I mean, it's
It's all screwed up all the way around.
It really
Yeah.
is. It really is.
It's sad, but it's just, and that's why I said there ain't nobody can sit here or sit across from me and tell me that they don't have no damage to them.
Right.
Not one. You grew up your entire childhood and not experiencing nothing like that.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Right.
And being black too.
right. Right. Right.
we've all seen stuff we shouldn't have seen.
Right. We've been exposed to things that
Yeah.
we shouldn't have been exposed to.
But
But the biggest thing is making it through it and allowing yourself to grow through it, knowing that there is help available because real stuff
I'm
happens.
gonna say some. No, never mind.
No, say what you need to
What you
say.
got?
Here's my-
The key is to be transparent about your life and what you're going through because
Right.
you don't know who can help you.
I think there's a lot of out there
Oh, they're abusing their power.
power
Right.
because the word that the way they tongue can speak.
Right.
I think there's a lot of miserable first ladies out there in the world. It's best.
Oh, there's a whole lot of them.
Abuse.
But see, that was another part of domestic, spiritual.
A lot,
The spiritual
Yeah,
abuse.
spiritual abuse.
I'm not talking about nobody, not everybody, but I witnessed growing up a lot of pastors who, if you notice, the first lady don't say a word.
Right.
Go to your church and see how much the first lady talk.
Right.
Very rarely.
Like she talk-
unless he tells her she can talk.
So it's like he used that Bible has been used
So he
to
raised her.
leverage. We talked
She's
about
been erased.
erase her mind,
Yeah.
and he said one of the preachers that'll read a scripture and tell you what that scripture means to get her mind. I'm telling you something.
Right.
I bet you it's a lot.
I seen it.
First,
Yeah.
cause I seen it growing up.
And pastors have
First last day,
sleeping
whatever
with
say
4
a
and 5
word.
women in the
Right.
congregation
Right.
He used the Bible.
through the Bible.
He'll use the Bible for that. He got us so wrapped up. He'll say something about the Bible to make us
Right.
think that it's okay to cheat.
Right.
now,
Right.
now what do
Oh,
y'all
you
say?
have a
Y'all
calling.
you saying a lot of them.
A lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of that going on in the church.
It's a
Not
lot.
all.
A lot of it is
No,
going
because
on in the
y'all come
church.
from
Yeah.
a pastor. And that's
Exactly.
yeah, not all.
Right.
No,
Right.
But I done
not
seen
all.
it.
I've seen them say when the convention, the conservative something Christian convention, it was out in the Midwest somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They say when these people come in town to this convention, the amount of porn. Now this might be going way off the rip. The amount, but I'm just saying, people hide behind stuff.
Oh yeah.
The amount of porn that is purchased in hotel rooms quadruple. So yeah,
They come to town.
right. But so they done came to town for the convention, but they back.
It's a whole mess.
You see what I mean?
It's
And
a
it's amazing how we live in a day and time where you can actually know stuff like that.
Wow.
You know what I
That's
mean? So
impressive.
all of these covers that people been saying for years. And I mean, I ain't grow up Catholic, but I know some of us may have.
I have.
But people been saying for years, and they tell these men, these priests, okay, well, don't sleep with a woman. And then it's strange when they start touching little boys. I mean, you're going against, and this is just mine, you're going against what's natural. And I can understand refraining from sex, whatever, okay. But then if it's going to leave you in an unnatural state, the way you out here, and people been saying this stuff for years, but how many years have they been able to just shift that stuff around and keep it going? Because guess what? I'm holding this book up in front of me. We are living in a generation of truth. And what is happening now is people are not able to hide behind all of this stuff. Wrong is wrong, whether it's under the table or on top of the table.
Regardless of who it is.
Right. And that's why you find platforms like this. Now we can talk about people being at home being abused. Where when we was growing up, we never
had
saw
none
these
of
kind
that.
conversations.
Well, we never saw. I think again, us growing up, we never seen I never seen no man in my family touch no woman in my family.
Right.
That's not to say,
Right.
not to say my uncles and them had no ways, because they're all headstrong.
Right.
So I know some kind of way they probably had a chance where they did a couple of hiccups with their relationship. But I've never seen them physically.
Right.
But I think it's more mental.
Yeah,
It's
mental
more
abuse.
mental abuse.
Yeah.
Than
anything.
And see, that's the part that be going off the radar.
But that's what it goes
that's
on the
under
radar,
the
but
radar.
people don't even know that that's what's happening to them.
He ain't putting his hand on her, but her mind messed up.
Yeah.
She
his mind-
insecure as hell.
his
So
mind
Then
she-
screwed her over. He
Yeah.
got screwed over. I have
Right.
one friend now. I mean, when this incident happened was 15 years ago, and he's still affected by it. He's still bitter.
he never-
And for men, it takes longer for men to get over that, process things like that, than women. Psychologically,
Man,
women
we don't
tend
deal
to
in
get
our
over it,
emotions much.
and that's why it takes you
So
longer.
if you get in our feelings and hurt us, we gonna remember that because we ain't in that room all the time. We
and
ain't
you
in
were
there.
not
That's a
taught
sacred
how
room.
to use that
Yeah,
emotion.
exactly.
But thank God we're living in a new day where everybody ain't like what and I understand what Disco's saying, and it is true.
Right, everybody's
There's a
not
lot
like
of
that.
everybody ain't like that. We're in a dispensation in time where truth and light,
Yes.
and as far as your walk with Christ, who you are,
Right.
what kind of relationships, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable.
Right.
People know how they feel. If I'm not so, with all that said, thank God for the light, because I can relate. I can see back in the day when preacher standing there and he's the only one reading the Bible and he's saying all kinds of stuff. Sometimes they say stuff that ain't even scripture. They make up stuff.
Yeah, they do.
I ain't never seen the first
You know
time.
they doing the training in the power.
Now,
Right.
we're, like I said, and even now in some congregations, in some settings, women are more free now than they were. Because back
That's
in the day,
true.
they used to wear their dresses all the way to their ankles and they tied tight, and that don't keep that from happening.
Nah.
But at the same time, now women are more free to express themselves, to be and to do, and to know that God loves them,
That what you call
and to know that it's not. Listen, it's not about now. See, we're living in a dispensation of time where it's not about what you do for God. It's about who God is.
Right.
Okay, so we're not religious. We're Christ-like. We seek to walk after Christ. And so when you go to those churches, they teach you how to act and what to do and how to say and
Everybody gonna walk the same, act the same, like
But
God.
when you come
Why
into
you
a
make
church
this
where
different?
somebody teach you about the Lord and push you to the face of God, not to my face. Don't make me
Don't
God,
follow me.
but follow Christ. Let God be God. He have done so much to be able to talk to you, to have a personal relationship with
And
you.
I keep trying.
And that's So now, I understand what you said, and I do get how some of these preachers put themselves up on pedestals,
They do.
and they want everybody to work. But see, now
Come to me to hear from God.
I'm Christ-like.
Right.
I'm an imperfect man in flesh, walking after a perfect God. I'm a Christian. I'm pressing toward the mark of the prize of the high calling that is in Christ Jesus. Now I'm gonna stop right there because I can keep going.
I ain't got no offer. I ain't got no dollar. I ain't got.
Take cash out.
They do all that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Pastor got cash out.
but I've seen so much. I've heard so much. I watch a lot of
Right.
documentaries, and I've seen a lot of these things that come about religion and being using it and abusing
Right,
the situation
right,
and
right,
people.
right.
And I when I hear some of these stories, I'd be like, "What in the hell?"
Right.
He's sleeping with 6 women, got all of them pregnant. Wife
Yeah.
don't know about it. The first lady don't know about it.
Right.
And then he said, no, he was called to
Right.
and to do
Yeah.
this, and these women are so brainwashed.
And that's sad.
And that's sad that they're using their gift that they were given to abuse women. Because that's abuse.
And just the same way, people, like I said, hide behind titles. Because the same way you can have maybe a pastor that's doing that. You can have a CEO
That's doing that.
We had the governor of New York.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
got the other little senator. Got,
They all over. I mean, yeah.
You
They
people-
abuse
you
their-
Using
I give you
abuse
this.
of power.
You don't have it be this simple. I'm a man.
Yeah.
They'll hide behind the identity of a man. I'm
Yeah.
a man. That's just what I do. You know, a man, I hold mine down. Ain't no woman finna talk to me. I'm a man. Also, that's justifying why you abuse. Reason enough, bro. You trying to hide
Yeah.
behind your gender to justify your
Wow.
abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You a man?
Because you see, that's what they do to try to manipulate their victim to think that the problem is with them when the real problem is with the abuser.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Y'all,
that's what they have to understand.
this is a very broad and
Very,
cumbersome
Yeah.
subject. But like I said, tonight, we just wanted to bring awareness to it. Wanted to say, and just everyday people you meet on the street. We all in some way or we've known somebody or have been exposed, or even some of us, unfortunately, ourselves has been exposed to domestic violence. And these are the faces of it. It's not always somebody that's beat up, that's hiding in the shadow. There are very much functional people that are still living
Absolutely.
in the shadow, but they at work and they doing what they got to do and they trying to press through. There is a helpline. There is, a lifeline. There are people that are waiting to embrace you and to hear your story and to believe you and to show you a way, to where you can live your life, productively and safe. I just want to thank everybody for having this conversation, sitting in and listening on this conversation. Want to encourage everyone to just, even if you just pick up your phone, Google domestic violence, become more familiar with what it is and the different forms. We didn't get into each particular form as much as we would like to, but look into it. And if you find yourself there, reach out for help. Even if it's just a casual conversation, with somebody that that will be there to help you. But definitely open your mouth and speak about it. I want to thank everybody for being here. Miss Taylor, Tanya Taylor, thank you for coming out tonight.
It was a pleasure.
I absolutely appreciate your contribution tonight, and hopefully you'll come back again.
Our story.
Elijah, absolutely. I just love just to have texture. I think for me that's important, to get texture. You don't want to always just, it's a man coming from the man's perspective. We need a full understanding. God created us, this is my belief, to be the two as one. So there's a masculine and a feminine, I believe, and it is in that wholeness.
That's true.
That we find solutions and that we heal and that we mend and that we grow. So like I said at the beginning of the show, a lot of these subjects that we've been attacking last time, mental health, this week, domestic violence, the objective is to build a stronger person, to build a stronger community. So we appreciate everyone that joined us, came out tonight. Elijah, you have any last words?
Oh no, I'm good.
No. Tanya, you have anything?
The thing I want to say is that don't be embarrassed to tell somebody. Don't worry what it looks like. It's very important for you to survive. Even after the aftermath is that's where the real work happens. It's after you come out of the situation, because at that point you're going to have to work on yourself. You cannot go into another relationship until you heal yourself. So don't be embarrassed to tell someone. Don't.
Thank you so much. We will be back on April 27th. Our guest on April 27th, Sean Harris. We're going to be talking about the purpose of family. We're going to do some reconstruction now, y'all. We've been kind of breaking down all this dysfunction. We're going to try to do some building up in May. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We will see you again next Tuesday.
Peace.